Hey everybody, I'm Brent Stone. Welcome to Following Funnel Force. I get the privilege of having my moderator Carrie Clement here with me today. She's going to be asking some questions. We're getting into episode 2, and we're going to talk about some of the choices that Glenn and I made on products initially when we were getting started. Maybe we'll cover why some of those were good or bad choices. And then we're certainly offering different things today and less of a selection today. But I'll turn it over to her and let her take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brent, for jumping on the podcast. It's really exciting. We're recording. This is my first time recording podcast, so I know you're a little bit more experienced in this space than me, but it's been a lot of fun to kind of tag team and get this story out there.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited that you agreed to do this with us.
Of course. So let's dig in. We kind of, last week we kind of recapped all of the things initially that you were looking for in a business partner and somebody that you wanted to start a business with the idea of, wanting to be in the digital marketing space. Um, so let's kind of talk about, what was the first product that you thought, or the first service that you thought was going to be the next big thing?
Well, Glenn and I were convinced that if we were to put together a virtual salesperson that could basically never take time off, work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never ask for a raise, never ask for extra PTO, never ask for benefits. And we could basically sell that virtual salesperson for like 40,000, 80,000, 120,000, based upon their capabilities and what they were able to do, because we would have it tiered out. So, the package for 120 grand would have been legitimately like, it would like source all of your leads, organize them. It would basically call your prospects or message your prospects and get them to buy and literally close the deal, like everything virtual. We started to realize that this was a big ask for a brand new company. I don't know if there's anybody that would hand over their business line of credit for $120,000 to let our brand new company do this. But we didn't see that as an obstacle at all. We were just like, you know what, here's what I don't understand. If you could hire, if your average salesperson in your business, let's just, this is my thought process, Carrie. This is really fun for me to explain this. So if you pay a salesperson, let's say 80,000 a year, $150,000 a year, or whatever, well, you could pay one time, like 120 grand or $40,000 or $80,000, whatever level that they would have gone with. And then the only ongoing subscription cost for basically the client would be website hosting, which is like, pennies compared to that. And then you've got, a monthly subscription fee that was like 100 or $200 a month to just run some of the back end software. And that's it. So we thought, hey, this is a no brainer. Like literally you take the value of this virtual salesperson out over 10 years, and it's like you're paying somebody, if at the $120,000 package level, I mean, you're paying someone like 10 grand a year. Like, in my, and then every year after that, I mean, it keeps diluting that initial sticker price. I didn't know why anybody wouldn't buy that, but there's something to be said for credibility. And because we hadn't yet like sold anybody this yet, shocker, nobody wanted to pay us $120,000 to like put together a virtual salesperson. So anyway, I'm not, you didn't like, I'm not going to sit here and explain what that was unless you want to know. But basically, there's a lot of other stuff that we did too. But that was the thing that we were most excited about
Yeah.
first. And I can get into other stuff too, but I'll shut up so you can ask more if you want to dive in on that or go
Well, no,
somewhere else.
I want to hear what the first thing sounded like when you went to the first company that you were trying to get to purchase the virtual salesperson.
Yeah. Oh, you want to hear what the pitch was
Yeah.
like? So I had a slide deck, and literally it took people through this progression of basically all the pitfalls of like a living, breathing salesperson. And then I get to the, these Glenn and I paid a graphic designer to create these like cartoon characters, and we named them based upon like the price of, I mean, this is terrible. Like basically it probably looked like human trafficking. Like we had like names and prices, and like it was just terrible. I mean, probably even shouldn't say that, but like literally it was just, I was trying to like be so out of the box that when I got in front of, said owner or CEO or general manager or whatever VP, I wanted them to like really be like, whoa, this is different. And it was different. and, and, it wasn't that they weren't even like not impressed. It was just like, when they would ask, well, who else has bought this already? I didn't want to lie and make stuff up. I was just like, you're like the second person I've presented this to. And yeah, so I'm just, I don't have it in me to like just make up something and just lie about it. So eventually, after I got through like, Glenn and I got through on a couple presentations of this, we were just like, you know what, we're gonna switch directions here.
That's what I want to ask you about is how did you pivot? Where did you go at that point?
So we took this idea and we had this proprietary mechanism to like make the virtual salesperson like a functional thing. And there was a lot of overhead at first if we were going to pull that off, which we were, thank goodness we were smart. We didn't actually buy and contract all of the things. We were waiting to basically have ink on the first contract before we like started paying out the big bucks to like get all this stuff to come together. Well, we pivoted basically to like this thing called sales funnels. Not sure if you're really familiar with, but a lot of people aren't. And what we did is we went away from the virtual salesperson, and we were like, you know what, we need to create cash flow, and we should probably do it fast. So we said, we'll sell sales funnels, which is essentially a landing page that's psychologically designed with one positive option for a potential customer to buy. That's the positive option, is that they buy, or they click this button to book a meeting, or they do something. And so we got into the space of building these landing page websites essentially, and we charge anywhere from 2,000 to like 12 grand. And that was fine because we could deliver a really good product and we could turn it around relatively quickly. Cause I mean, Glenn and I were the only two people, really at the time doing this. And we then, very quickly looked for extra help outside of Glenn and I, because number one, you don't want me to build your sales funnel. Two, Glenn was really good, but if we sell a couple customers, all of a sudden he's spending all day, every day doing that, and he wasn't able to do anything else. So we started looking outside of us to do fulfillment, and looking at people to really outsource that work to. And then came all kinds of interesting challenges and quality control and trying to make sure we didn't get scammed, and which happened like 3 times. I'll save that. Let me pause for a second and let you pick back up, because we can go a lot of directions here.
No, I'm just I'm so curious when it comes to the whole idea and the concept of outsourcing. Like, how quickly did you make that decision, and what do you wish you had thought through maybe before you went that route to avoid some of those pitfalls?
All right, so the outsourcing, so for me, I mean, we were just so excited and so optimistic that we didn't really think of the pitfall. I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm definitely more pessimistic than Glenn is. Glenn has the best attitude of like most people that I know, super optimistic, and even if presented a problem, he has a solution like that. So I was like, you know what, we'll figure it out, and I've got a lot of that in me too. Unfortunately, I've retained some of the other tragic business decisions, and I think of those things, and I run current business decisions through the filter of, hey, this burned a little bit when I did this, or this hurt when I made this type of decision in this other endeavor, So I do carry some of that, but Glenn is like moves very fast, and I move fast, but Glenn moves really fast. And so we were like, okay, we're going to start trying to find companies. And he brought me this company and was like, look, this company right here, they do white label work for agencies. And I was like, okay, sounds cool. So we basically took a course from them. We followed kind of like their whole funnel model and kind of got into one of their affiliate programs with they have a guy that was a business partner of theirs who's kind of famous on Instagram, and did some training on how to like do like agency work. And so we took some courses and subscribed to this continuing education program through this white label agency company. And we started to realize very quickly that even though everyone selling these types of courses and services makes it sound really glamorous, and it's like, oh, it's easy, just generate leads, and, we'll do the work, and we'll, you keep, a percentage. And we're like, I think we could sell fast enough to make that business model work well for us. Well, I mean, when they tell us it's going to take, 2 weeks to turn a website around, and we tell clients, because we're being conservative, hey, we can turn a website around in 3 weeks, because we're not going to be like, yeah, we can turn it on in 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden we're like sitting here doing this on, like business day 15. And all of a sudden our clients starting to text us like, hey, where's our website? I don't want to play that. So Glenn and I were like, okay, we'll pad like all these expectations. And on the financial side, I said, we need to pad what we're charging. So like if literally it's going to cost X amount, we need to charge a little bit more. Then that way we can come back later on, and then we can basically deliver either a rebate to a client, or we can come back and offer them something free, like free advertising or something, like in addition to, what we were doing. I mean, everything was for the ethical purpose of making sure we could not kill ourselves, but also deliver a high quality product with additional things to the client, so they'd have a really good user and experience. And so what ended up happening was that when we started working with some of these contractors, we started to realize that, oh, well, it doesn't matter to them if they make it within the guidelines that they promised us. And we had sometimes websites coming back to us at, the 3 week mark, or 2.5 weeks, or 4 weeks, or it made it a sticky situation. And so we very quickly decided that we were going to start interviewing people so we could bring someone in house to do some of this kind of work. Does that answer your
Yeah.
question? I can go deeper into where I was going, but I can talk a lot, so I'm gonna tone it back and let you
No,
ask
I
more.
think you were on the right track. And just kind of explaining like the challenges of, doing the speedy outsourcing, and kind of, what you learned from that, and then moving into the in-house thing. I mean, I think that's what a lot of businesses are probably up against, is like, I need something and I need it now, but it might not be the best quality. Or I might not have the connection or the relationship, to get that started. So I guess here is, knowing us and our personalities, I'm on one end of the spectrum where I'm like, oh, we need to pause and we can't roll anything out until like I know exactly what the deliverables are going to look like. Whereas you're a little bit more risky, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. Um, and so
A lot of
I'm
it, yeah.
curious to, what that looks like for you, and kind of how, like, have you had any changes into your approach from, you know, bulldozing straight ahead, not having all of the deliverables quite figured out, versus, like, what's your advice to people as far as like the ones like me who are like super hesitant and trying to get it all figured out before they roll out a single product?
No, this is really good. And I've put a lot of thought into this, by the way. So here's what I would tell anybody that's getting ready to start. Really, I mean, it could be an agency business, and that's what, the blueprint is based on. That's what we're going to be helping new agency owners run a successful business model. Excuse me. But what we're really excited about is looking at the how they don't how they don't like hamstring themselves into like this position where they can't have good reviews and create a bad reputation for themselves faster than they can make money. That is a terrible place to be. Now, thankfully, the two or three clients out of all the ones that we had sold that like we went past like time frames on, they were awesome and they were really good to work with, but they could not have been, and they could have made our life really, really hard. And so we figured out ways to like make it up to them, and we did some free stuff for them, and thank goodness, right? Well, okay, so let me answer your question. So looking at starting off, what I would tell people is to pick 1, 2, max 3 deliverables in any business just to get started. I'm not saying it has to stay like this forever, but in the very beginning, you don't want to offer a whole lot of stuff. And I'll give you a couple reasons, mainly because you have to learn your product that you're going to be selling. Well, Brent, I already know it. I'm already an expert. Okay, well, then you're a couple steps ahead, and that's really good. And we can address other things alongside of that later on. Here's some more reasons why you don't want to offer more than 3 or 2 things. You want to get known in your local market. If you're a small business, you want to get known in your local market really for doing 1 or 2 things really well. If you can do that, everybody will use you. Especially like in a small town, like I live in Harrisonburg, Virginia. If you can get really good at doing one thing really, really well, everyone will use you. And I'm sure, if anyone listens to this from Harrisonburg, people will be like, Brent, what are you talking about? Number one, like you do like 8 things, but like 8 businesses, and each business has different things, but like literally that's not the point. And I'm not trying to say like, don't watch my example. I've just been doing this a very long time and a lot of different things. Right. So one of the things that I want to kind of reemphasize here is when you're starting off, especially for your first time in business, your branding is important. So part of your branding strategy should be, your deliverables and getting known for those 1 or 2 things. If you have 2 products that are very closely related, it's easy to go ahead and launch a third, because especially if 2 of those products kind of need one another. Like for example, if Glenn and I were to just pick initially, one of the things that we did wrong is we launched like if somebody said we needed not only website work and not only ads, we need SEO work. Oh, we can do SEO work. And, that night until like midnight, Glenn's at home researching how to do offsite SEO page work. And I'm researching on page SEO work, and we're trying to figure it out. And then like, 4 days later, after we haven't, really like rested, we're like coming back together and being like, okay, we can do this for you. That's just, it's not realistic. And number one, it was, that's hard when you've got a family. And I have a hard stop every day at like 4 p.m. to go spend time with my family until like my kids are asleep. So initially that was just kind of like an unrealistic thing. Glenn does the same thing, not the same time frames, but he's a family guy too and spends a lot of time with his family. So if you're a family person, you're listening to this, it's just so much better to just commit to just a couple products, like 1, 2, or 3, learn those really well. And it doesn't start to dominate the rest of your life. You can still have a life and you can still balance things, and it just works so much better in your favor. So that's kind of my starting advice. Again, I can go into depth on a lot of different other reasons as to why that is. I just don't know if listeners are going to care that much if getting into the weeds, but I'll let you kind of dive deeper into asking other things, or if you want me to go deeper.
Well, I think that we've kind of gotten to the point of the episode that we might have to kind of give a teaser for the next one, because it sounds like
Sure.
our first offering, and then the funnels, and now we are coming up on, I don't know how many more are coming up before we get to what Funnel Force has become, but sounds like that's going to be what we cover in episode 3.
Sounds awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for being here, and thank you all for listening. Please go and follow us on social media platforms at Funnel Force on Instagram, and we would love to service you, or if we can do anything for you, we would love that. So thanks so much for listening today.